Call this meeting of the Results Committee to order. If we could stand for the pledge, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
3-0. We have no public comments. Approval of the October 17th minutes, which are rather brief.
Yep.
So moved.
Second?
3-0. Right to the meat. The annual evaluation targets. Frank, just to fill you in, we've been working on it. Danny's done a heck of a job showing us how it could be done.
Yep.
And we wanted to do this year, which we had already, I think, discussed with you. We just want no slippage, and next year's goals,
Yep.
which are a little more ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
But in that SMART layout, you own the A, the
Mhm.
achievable part.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to go over that with you and just make sure that
Yep.
you thought they were achievable,
Yep.
as we did, and that we can either adjust or wrap this group up.
Yep.
Some focuses on many of the measures we already take. Actually, probably all these measures we already take.
Mm-hmm.
And I should tell you that we, through Daniel, we kind of did a test on Herb Bird.
Oh, okay.
We said, okay, this was his results.
Yeah.
How does this rubric rate him?
Okay.
And it seemed reasonable.
Okay.
It seemed to be, okay, yeah, that's pretty much the way we would do
See
it.
the numbers
Yep.
in each of the places. Now, one of
There's
the-
no, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
For the difference in the points, there's no explanation of that on here. But we did, is there, am I missing that? Where it does, it says, oh, it's on this page. Sorry, it's not right on the thing. So this is the, how you know if it's a 1, a 2.
Got it.
So, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I remember we talked about it, but I couldn't find it on this, so there it is, just so.
One of the issues I have is the English language learner scores. That is, there's a lot of outside impact
Mm-hmm.
on how those scores come out based on how many English language learners come in. And it's not a fine, it's not a set amount, it's a different amount, it's
Yep.
different, it's new kids coming in.
Yep.
And so how can that be really looked at in a way to be fair to Frank, given the volatility of the data?
I think one of the other pieces too is where they're coming from. Because where they're coming from also depends on what kind of formal education they had. And there's variance
Right.
on that.
So that's
Yeah.
probably.
Question for Daniel. So are our English language learners tested and counted in our scores the first year here, or do they have to be here more than 1 year?
It depends when they come in, depends on their
Okay.
level, and it depends on the test.
Okay.
We do assess them, simply they're here, so we
Do a
want
meetup or a
some
guide,
sort
yeah.
of formative type
Okay.
data. Are they counted in accountability their first year? No, that's if they're first time in the country.
Okay.
So just, a student might say that they're here for the first time, but they might have, let's say, enrolled in Greenville or Saluda, the upstate kind of area, at the end of last year. They took the assessment. They should transfer here, they're still technically in the first year of enrollment. They would count. It's 1 calendar year, not 1 school year.
I'm just looking at Broad River Elementary last year. Broad River Elementary at one point had over 100 Hispanic students that came in. When I talked to the principal not that long ago, many of them are not there this year. Today and gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
And if you kind of remember the We Are Beaufort, that we kind of, Dr. Berg kind of laid the groundwork of,
Right.
you know, we have a true achievement gap here.
Right.
And we showed the kind of map, and you could see where the population was trickling to.
Right.
Broad River was one of the schools that did have an EL.
Right.
We saw rising numbers at Robert Small, rising
Right.
numbers in Shanklin as they're kind of
Right.
shifting out to the
Right.
Whale Branch kind of areas. So you're exactly right where they're coming from, when they're coming, and where is what we're seeing in the last few years. It's you know, no longer Mexico, it's no longer, you know, Guatemala like we were earlier. Now we're getting a large amount of Mayans
Yeah,
with almost zero formal
Right. Right.
education.
right,
So that is still an EL,
yeah.
but now it's a different hurdle of an EL. Now we have an EL assessment. We do have access that we could show growth over time of the students, but we wouldn't be able to break that down as we are here. It would be all ELs, only ELs, many of which would be in poverty.
I also look at Broad River and Shanklin and their number of military that come mid-year, coming in and out from different places. When I look at Shanklin and Broad River, I'm saying, are they ever going to make the significant progress that we want? And they're two of our most challenging schools.
Mhm.
But with the demographics,
Yeah.
they coming in there,
Transition.
and the challenges that puts on the staff and faculty of those two schools, it's significant.
Are we able to tease out, we used to, like, if the students weren't with us for a year, a full year, their scores didn't count toward our report card grade. So that might help a little bit with that? No? How many students are we talking about?
Depends on the school and the
Yeah,
location.
well, yeah,
I
and that's
mean,
what I'm just trying to think for ones. I think the Hilton Head population, we have a high number of Hispanics there, second language learners, but they're pretty stable. I don't feel like we have as much migrancy or
Yeah.
whatever, yeah.
And the families tend to stay in the area.
Mhm.
They might just change actual school zones.
Okay,
You know, we don't have a huge migrant population as you would consider. We're more service industry. So the families, once they do arrive, do tend to stay a little bit longer.
do you have any suggestions how we could look at the data to take what Dick says into account? I know as a principal, those are the things that I ask, because I'm like, I don't mind being held accountable for the kids that are with me for a year, but the kids that are in and out, it's really hard.
We could do the 45-day type match. Now it's going to differ from what's reported. I can remember when I went back to the very beginning going, okay, if we report this and someone wants to go fact check or look, you know, I don't want vastly different results because of something that we've done to make it look different. But we could control for enrollment. We could bring ELs totally out and look at by level, so their level of proficiency. It's just, that's more granular now in the analysis.
But what's the state say? What's the
The state and federal government says we test everyone, the federal government says all, but we do have a 1-year exemption for testing counting for accountability. Not counting for reportable, it's still on the website, but counting for accountability. They have a 1 calendar year from the first time in the US schools.
And these are accountability numbers, is what we're using in here.
No,
correct? Oh, we're using all.
I'm giving you,
Ooh.
hey, welcome to the desk.
I would certainly be in favor of keeping this stable with what other people and have that as part of the explanation when we say, how come you didn't? Because it was unstable.
We have to have,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we
Some
have
kind of
to,
stability.
we have to keep it,
yeah.
simply because, I mean, we have roughly 7.9 to 8.1% of the state's EL population is in Beaufort County. It's a large percent even of the state. The population's not going anywhere. The only thing we can do is, immerse them in English and get them up to speed.
Well, I'm sorry.
I just think, I kind of think, on the front here, we need college and career ready, that's one of our 3 bullets. So, I know we have it inside.
Okay, do you want a separate score for that?
College and career ready
Okay.
has a separate bullet, so if we can transfer
Oh,
that,
Lord.
transfer that to the front page, we'd have all 3 measurements. Achievement, gap closure, and college career ready would all be on that front page for us.
Okay, so you want me to tease the college or career ready out of the overall and it would have its own
Well, you can
number?
leave it in there, but
Leave
just
it in there,
up.
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
just have.
Now we got the 2 boxes here,
Mhm.
just put the 3rd one there,
Yeah.
and that fits in. And then on the rubric, that, the first line is year 1 and the second line is year 2, correct?
Correct. And I know you said leave 2 there. It could be somewhat nebulous as we need to, but I wanted to leave that there just as a.
That's what we kind of agreed
Yeah.
on, I think, for year 2. And that's the one that we're looking to you, Frank, say you think is reasonable.
Now, do you want the college or career to be scored with its
Yes,
own? Okay, so
yes,
I'll pull,
on its own.
I'll
Yeah.
pull, I'll pull college and career ready out of academics.
Well, no, it's one of the bullets under academics.
Okay.
In our goals setup, it's achievement, gap, and college career ready. Those are our 3 bullets under academics. So we just need a score to pop up here for college career ready
Only.
only.
But you also want to double count college and career ready? 'Cause right now, they're-
No.
So you want to tease it out of the academics?
Out of,
Yeah,
I got
tease
you.
it out, yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
We're having a language issue.
No worries, I'm on you.
Can we talk about the students with disabilities? That's also a somewhat difficult piece to evaluate, given the wide range of disabilities that we have. So I notice reading grades 6 to 8, ineffective students with disabilities. Same with grades 3 through 5 in mathematics, same 6 through 8 in SC ready mathematics. How do we make the disability thing, we can't make it uniform because of the difference in disabilities, but how can we have a rubric to evaluate performance given the range of disabilities that we have?
A good question. What percent we have students taking an alternate assessment?
It's well under the 5%. So and we get audited on anything kind of above that.
And they're not included.
They're not included in this, no, but they are accounted in accountability.
Yeah,
They take an English, math, science, social studies,
Yeah.
so they are in accountability. But you bring up a very valid point, the spectrum of students with disabilities is very broad. And to just single category,
We walked in the class of special education at Hilton Head High School, and I was struck by the range just in that one room of ability to test, to
Yeah.
have that.
But we get dinged on that.
Well,
We get dinged at the state level on that, right?
yeah, the federal government says all is all.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Sadly, as educators, we
Yeah.
cringe.
yeah.
I just hate to see a superintendent with an evaluation that has an ineffective in a realm where effectiveness is almost impossible.
Because every student, I mean, technically is an individualized education, has their own goal, their own progress towards the goal, and have they met the goal, every single one is fully independent from the other.
Differentiated.
Because the optics are really bad,
Oh, yeah.
but the reality is much different.
But, That's how it's reported by the state as well. It's
I
horrible.
just,
I know.
the
Um,
explanations would be required, and
Yeah.
notes, you know, it would be that with an asterisk by it,
Mhm.
and then the note would explain some of the,
And maybe we could even, I mean, the asterisk that I would, put in there, is the number of students. Okay, so your LD, your emotionally handicapped, your speech and language, your, hard of hearing, your blind, even your vision impaired, are in one basket. Your artistic are over here, your mentally handicapped, that is so broad, and they're now only taking the the kids that are in diapers in high school are the only ones who are allowed to take the alternative program testing now. So you've got the class that you went in Hilton Head High School, I used to sub in that class. I bet you that all of those kids are taking the regular exam, and they are all sitting at the computer crying or just doing whatever.
yeah, but you know, there's one child with muscular dystrophy. How does
He gets a scribe. So that person gets to go off in a room with somebody and somehow communicate what answer he's picking and choose that, but,
Yeah.
so,
There's another student with the same muscular dystrophy, has an eye gaze system.
Yeah.
That the State Department ships a custom program for the assessment that they would eye gaze through for the answers to describe.
well, I mean, district-wide, if we felt that way, we could tease out by disability. Could we, Daniel?
We could, but even with an SLD, a specific learning disability, we have everything from math computation to written expression. So even bringing
Yeah.
specific learning disability together, we would then have to tease that apart to their specific disability, because a student technically that has a written expression disability should be performing
Right.
perfectly fine on the math assessment or the reading
And we
assessment.
wouldn't get any
but we would
accommodations for
have
that.
an accommodation on the writing component.
Yeah.
So you're
It's
getting
good.
into the finiteness of special education
I
and
know.
how to measure effectiveness.
And no matter what the disability, we're under the same mandate
Yeah.
to get them a good education.
Yeah.
So,
It's too bad we couldn't, the states didn't, take anything into account about their progress on their IEPs.
I
But
agree.
I think then what would happen is people would write IEPs that were not challenging enough,
right,
and then they just,
Uh-huh.
right.
yeah, that's what would happen, yeah,
Consequences,
yeah, so,
Yeah,
okay. Well, those of us in this room understand what could happen in those two categories. Unless there's some out of the box
Yeah, I'm just
thinking.
envisioning that if there's an explanation for one particular category, and the board says, okay, that makes sense, that we could adjust the score by pulling that out. Now, I doubt that it would change much, that's an option available to us. We could say, you know, you're right, we get it, we'll take that one out. We could do that.
And with the
I
formulas.
wouldn't wanna do that ahead of time.
No.
But and with the formulas, the beauty is with just some minor changes, we can leave it there for reporting.
Right,
And
or
then
pull
say,
it out for scoring.
don't count this,
Right.
reweight all other components.
That's an option available to us, so.
So you have that option, you have the flexibility of the actual program is pretty nimble
Right.
in its design.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I'd rather do it at the back end
Oh, yeah, we
than
don't.
anticipate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Because we could have a great explanation of saying, wow, you got a 3 in that, we know how difficult that category is, you know, so that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you couldn't pull that out when you do it in evaluation?
Well,
Because how can you, yeah, that's hard to,
yeah, that, leave us open to some criticism,
It would.
that says, well, you're ignoring the problem.
And we have to, if we take it out, it's almost like we've lowered our expectations.
Exactly.
We don't wanna lower our expectations. I'm sure Dr. Rodriguez doesn't wanna lower the expectations for our special ed or ELL. It's just the reality of the situations that we're dealing with. We know how it can shake out, right?
All right, so on the front page, what do you think of the rubric?
Well, I think in terms of, projecting a year out, that's tough to do,
Oh, yeah.
It's tough to do because, you have additionally, you have cohort phasing out,
Mhm.
you have cohort phasing in. And it's interesting to see waves and cohorts, and see in terms of when they enter, how ready they are versus the one leaving, So, I think really the best thing to do is to probably go with it, and have that conversation,
That's exactly the way I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, adjust it the next year.
Yeah.
We feel obligated to give you those goals before
Yeah.
you do the budget.
Yeah, I get it, and I think that, and that's fair. I think that, really, what we're all after is to continue to move the needle forward for all of our kids, and sometimes, moving the needle forward, you can't move the needle forward, right, without having those high expectations and setting targets and that sort of stuff. And if you're doing that ahead of time, that's good. You just opportunity to revisit and have a conversation, in a year, I think is valuable. So that we can, proceed accordingly. But I think it's good to have something up front as we plan and begin to structure.
Yeah, and that's our thinking. Each year we'll sit down, we'll have this same
Yeah.
conversation. Say, okay, what did we learn from last year's goals?
Yeah,
Are they achievable? And then
Yeah.
adjust for the next year.
yeah,
And this first year's tough because none of us really,
yeah,
that's why we try to do the burden.
yeah.
Yeah, try to show it.
Try to show it.
Just say, okay, is this?
Yeah. I think, the other thing that happens in these, when you're dealing with state assessments and things like that, right, is what we don't know, right? What we don't know. So between now
Yeah.
and next
Little
year,
change, yeah.
right,
Yeah.
there could be assessment shifts, there could be rigor within assessment changes, either way. There could be, who knows, there's things that we just don't know, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I do agree, I think it's important that we have a chance to revisit, But if you assume, constant, one of the things, I'll always say when you're working at closing achievement gaps and trying to move the needle on those things don't jump, 4 or 6 points, right? They don't. They're smaller increments in movement. That's just the reality. It's slow. It's methodical, hopefully consistent, and over a period of time, that's when you look at it and you say, we moved the needle.
But it also seems to me that the board should give some priorities to the superintendent. I've had a number of discussions with board members about focusing on K through 3. And to say, if we're really going to make a huge, significant difference, other than a little bit, maybe the small changes, we look at 4 through 12. But K through 3, we put our emphasis and our focus into getting the kids at 3rd grade up to standard. And then follow that cohort through as a strategy, as a long-term view. That seems to be the way to go. So there should, I would think that we would maybe want to talk, and that would be a board discussion, to say, okay, where's your priority? What we want to see the greatest amount of improvement. And we haven't had that discussion in board level yet. But I just can't understand how we can ever hope to solve this if we keep having the scores that we have at 3rd grade.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, you know, there's gotta be a sort of a long-term plan, you know? And that's the investment early, you know? So,
And the academics committee is talking at length about this now. And, you know, that's the biggest unknown, are your kindergarten students, unless they were in pre-K. And we've talked about, you know, so currently, right now, everyone that qualifies for pre-K is being served. That's with the bar at one point. So our question was, if we change the bar, because we have some empty seats right now, we could bring in some more. But, so those are the types of things. So then we would really, because that's, some of them are so far behind. Is all of our math testing done on computers?
Yep, math
Even
is
for
similar.
even the K, that's all done on?
They do it on iPads.
They do it on their iPads?
Yeah, they can do it on iPads, and the K1 assessment is separate, it's a different, it's in the suite of math, but it's more click and drag, click and pop. It's developmentally there for the kids, it's not multiple choice, it's listen to the sound,
Yeah.
what
What's-
image has the
yes,
sound,
yeah.
that type of assessment. Pre-reading and pre-math skills, so they're not reading technically on
Right.
their own, it's more of the pre-skills.
We also do we keep the RETA scores, or the dial scores, you know, the.
Dial scores are there. We have a state page where the dial scores are put in. There's a lot more emphasis now at the state level to collect our early childhood or pre-K and kindergarten readiness. So they gave us a page in PowerShell to keep that. Sadly, it's only 3 or 4 years old, so we don't have it as back as far as we
Then
would like.
what is the alignment from math to SC ready?
The alignment, the probability of projection, or the actual alignment, like standard to standard kind of. So it's a computer adaptive assessment. When we look at mathematics, it's in the upper 80% of reliability correlation.
Of the projection?
80s and the 90s, depending on.
On the projection?
Yes. The ELA is a little off, and I'm asking NWA to redo that, simply because our assessment has writing as part of the scored rubric. And 2 years ago, we started getting ELA scores separate from writing scores. So I want them to go back now and redo their alignment study with projections based solely off the reading score without the writing. So we normally see about a 9 percentage point inflation on the projected proficiency for ELA. Very, very, we would expect that because of the writing component. It just does not assess writing. So both are very aligned. At schools that really emphasize math and growth and the students doing their best, it's in the 90s. And that's almost a calendar year before the assessment. So that's second or third week of school. We have about an 80 to 90% correlation to what they will score if nothing else happens but typical growth on the spring state assessment.
Will they take it again throughout the year?
They'll take it the last 2.5 weeks right before Christmas, and then we'll take it right around spring break for that last month.
What's the strongest correlation?
The strongest correlation is fall and spring. Winter, we test a little bit early in the window. So the correlations.
Fall and the spring state assessment?
No, the fall and the spring math administration. So about a
Yeah,
month and a half
what
out.
I'm saying between the fall and the state assessment,
Mhm.
or the, did you say they take it in December?
Take it in
Or the
December.
December and the state assessment?
Fall.
The fall is a stronger correlation than the December one.
Because we have opted to test before Christmas instead of after Christmas. So the way that the growth model works is we're really at the early edges of the window instead of right in the middle or the end of the window. So we kind of have a truncated fall to winter testing cycle.
Okay.
So it's not equally distributed throughout the year.
When's the state assessment?
State assessment's the last 15 days of the school year. We're allowed 20, but we had 5 for makeup days.
Is there a reason we wouldn't want to test in late January?
There's nothing preventing that, except for then we would shorten the winter to spring. But there's nothing stopping testing right when we come back. Or, we always try to leave a month between the two assessments, between spring and spring. Spring math and spring state assessment.
When is spring math?
Spring math is wherever we want it, but right now it's right before spring break. And that's totally on us as to whether to put it on the calendar.
Going to Dick's point, we did decide as a board that we wanted to put more emphasis on the K2, then perhaps at some point we could change the percentage in the final of these scores, right? We'd look at all the scores, but these would carry more weight in the final. Is that something that's mathematically able to do?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, just if we said,
Yeah, anything's possible.
yeah.
We could do that.
We don't want to do anything like that
It
now.
just looks
but-
like you're writing off 10 years worth of students though.
Yeah.
If you're focused on K2, then the 3
Well,
through
they're still,
12, you're
yeah,
saying.
they're still gonna be included, but we're giving a little bit more,
But see, that focus has budget and
Right.
HR
Yeah.
impacts. that-
And I understand
Yeah.
that's the strategy.
Yeah,
That is the strategy to make progress. But
right.
yeah.
I understand. Now,
That does only 10 years worth
No,
of
you can't,
kids.
No.
you can't kick that down.
You don't even want to look like you're doing
No,
that.
no.
It'd still be weighted.
Right.
It's still, it would
The weight
still,
would
yeah.
just be a little different.
And then the email says, why are they less important? I mean, I've been seasoned to anticipate the questions. But that's certainly an option.
I'm just
I think
trying,
we're gonna have to, next year, we're gonna sit down and have
Yeah.
right.
a lengthy conversation, because we'll see how well it worked, and
Yeah.
it's gonna work well.
we can make
Yeah.
adjustments.
No doubts. There'll be no changes.
Although I think the numbers all work really well. Okay, so if these seem reasonable and you're willing to go with these for next year, then we've achieved what we wanted to achieve today. And now, Robin, I know you cleaned up the thing. If you could get that back to me,
Okay.
with, the fixes that
Yep,
you're
I'm
gonna
working
put
on
in for
fixes.
college and career ready, have that attached, then I'll wrap some verbiage around it about how we got to this point, and what we were trying to achieve, and we'll present it to the board.
And the other component of the evaluation, this is the metric part, the matrices for each of the 5 areas, those will be included in the final. Have
Everything.
you looked at those? Are you familiar, that was the Michigan form that had all the,
The same,
The statements.
same categories that
Yeah.
we
Yes.
utilized before.
yeah, except
But I think
these
I've
are
only seen,
more general.
I
these
think
are-
I've only seen, the components sort of extracted for, the 90 day.
Okay.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we have to make sure you
There's a
see that.
whole
Whole other.
Yeah,
soft
yeah.
skill thing.
Yeah, and it taught, you know, like.
Very
one of
similar
these-
though.
Yes.
Very similar.
And it's a matrix, you know, where it's 1 to 4, and so under finance, there's like maybe 6 bullets with the specific thing,
Yep.
and then, what, you know.
Okay. How do I get,
Listen to the
Clean
whole
it
thing.
and
Okay.
send the whole thing.
Yeah, okay, great. I don't have mine with me yet.
And so I said, when we get that clean copy, we'll just, assemble it,
Okay,
send it out for one final feedback loop, and then present it to the board.
that's good. All right.
And then this committee has done its job,
It can be disbanded.
and we can be disbanded because we,
I'm sorry, I came in a little late, so this might be asked and answered already, okay? Is this the sum total, other than the verbiage around the 5 goals that we have?
this is the academics piece.
Okay,
Just,
all right, so there is more. There's the business,
Right.
there's the business goals, okay? And when do you think this will be presented to the board? You had said before.
I'd
that
like to present it at the next
in November-
board meeting.
Huh?
If we can clean it up and get feedback, then I'd like to get it at the, not this Tuesday, but the following.
December,
Okay, next Tuesday is the last meeting of the month, correct?
right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
So
think
it
we're
has to
gonna, I
be
don't think
You're
December.
not gonna have it then?
I don't think we're gonna make it.
Okay, because in fairness to Dr. Frank here, I think he should have more than a half year to work on his requirements for an evaluation for a full year. So the more that it's delayed, the less he has time to react, excuse me.
Yeah.
The more that it's delayed, the less time he has to react and accomplish these goals in the manner that we wish to see them accomplished.
We have to remember
Speak
that,
up, please.
we have to remember that it is an evolution of what he's already gotten in his 90-day. I mean, it has, it's the same categories. There's just more details. And
Right, and that's details are very important. This 90-day checkup doesn't count for his contract evaluation nearly as much as the annual evaluation, okay? So the board needs individual rank and file members that are not on this committee need as much time as possible to evaluate what Dr. Frank has agreed to and what you're recommending. And has to be codified and in existence as soon as possible, not middle of January. We all know, for those of you who haven't been on the board before, the education world comes to a grinding halt in December. Okay. Not much gets done at the board level in December. We have one meeting, and that's usually a functionary affair. So I'm just advocating that we get this done that we receive it as early as possible.
Well,
I assure you,
And
that the
specifically
committee,
as
the
possible.
committee has been trying to do this as quickly as possible, John, if that's your point.
Yeah.
We've been
Well, it was supposed to
working-
happen in November and it's not, so I'm trying to,
Accept the criticism and maybe you can get on the committee next year.
the other thing, the evaluation will be done in October. So he does have till October, I mean, it's not, he has more than 6 months because the evaluation's done in October. So,
Okay. All right, move to adjourn.
all right, I move we adjourn.
Second.
3-0.
Thank you.